Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield and we'll take a look at them after round 1. Today we're going to be playing with Sean D's Inquisition Echo deck list. So named for two key parts of the deck. Number 1, Echo of Eons, which is a draw 7 that we're usually going to cast with Flashback from our graveyard after discarding our hand with Lion's Eye Diamond. And number 2, we're playing with some of the draw 4 spells where you lose half of your life total, rounded up, that are common to the archetype Spanish Inquisition, which is essentially an all-in glass cannon turbo combo deck. Very, very much similar to a storm deck, but the needle is tilted towards faster and less interactive. So there's going to be a lot of weird things about this deck list, okay? We are essentially trying to be a turn 1 deck list here. We're not trying to wait. We're not trying to set up. We're not trying to make our opponent discard and punch a hole. We are just trying to go. And that means doing some very weird things in deck building, like playing 6 lands. Note, I was told that Dark Slick Shores was an intentional choice, so before you come at me, why isn't that Underground Sea? I'm just doing what I was told, yo. I assume there's some sort of budgetary constraint or brewing thing going on here, or some specific niche card like Sean is trying to play around. As far as most of the deck goes, like this deck is mostly mana and tutors. You have all of your various like artifact-based mana cards. You have Entomb, which is mostly gonna tutor for Echo of Eons. Although there's some other things that you can tutor for in some niche scenarios where you need to destroy a creature. And then we have other tutors like Infernal Tutor and Wishclaw Talisman, both which have their respective downsides that we can use to kind of get the appropriate things into our hand. Ultimately, what we are trying to do is cast either a Tendril of Agony or create a large enough Empty the Warrens that we can just go and kill our opponent with it. If you kind of take a look at the main deck here, there's basically no ways to interact with the opponent. Like, there's a couple of griefs, which can be free, and in really neat scenarios, we can also line that up with a burnt offering to turn it into a actual, like, mana acceleration spell. But other than the grief, the Vengeful Pharaoh, and the Shriek Maw, we basically don't have ways to interact with our opponent in game 1. I'm a little skeptical about some of the specific card choices. We'll see how they do in the league. I'm not really sure that it's worth it to have either Vengeful Pharaoh or Shriekmaw in the deck in game 1. Like, I think in game 1, I'm fine just, like, randomly losing to some Hate Bear or something to just make it so that I'm more consistent. Like, I think game 1 is the gotcha game, and then I think I want to have answers in games 2 and 3. But maybe with the way the sideboard is built and like so many cards coming in for other matchups, like you just need to put a few of the sideboard cards into the main deck or something. Like I can get it. I goldfished a handful of hands, and I'm also pretty skeptical of Peer into the Abyss. Like it's a sweet card, and it is an extremely powerful effect that will win you the game if it resolves. But in goldfishing, I was finding that my Echo of Eons clearing out my graveyard is meaning that my Cabal rituals aren't actually producing 5 mana, and so actually getting to enough mana to cast Peer into the Abyss was really tough. So I'm a little bit worried about that. Another thing that I'm worried about is just getting paired against blue decks, because like Echo of Eons is a symmetrical effect, and if I go and cast that and then my opponent gets into cards like Force of Will, I don't actually have that many disruptive elements to fight back against that. And I think I am a little soft to the right cards being countered. This is definitely a brew, so my opponent might not know what those right cards are. But a lot of times my hands that I was goldfishing were reliant on one specific card resolving, so we'll kind of see how this plays out in practice. In the post sideboard games, we are going to become a little bit more reactive. We'll have the option to sideboard in some discard cards, and we'll also have the option to just kind of rely less on the Echo combo and be able to just Galvanic Relay to do kind of a 2-turn thing. On the first turn, we go and cast the Galvanic Relay to get set up, and then on the second turn, we actually try to go off. Or we can just like cast an Empty of the Warrens for a respectable number on turn 1, and that should be good enough most of the time as well. I don't know how our win rate is going to be in this league, but it should be a lot of fun. If it's your first time here, please consider subscribing if you like what you see. And if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. That is one of the easiest ways to support my content for free. Let's battle. All right, my round 1 opening hand goes Lotus Petal, Cast Grief. Infernal Tutor can't get me an LED because I will not be Hellbent. So unfortunately, this hand doesn't do anything, and it needs to be a mulligan. This hand has no initial starting mana source. With an artifact, I kind of go wild on turn 1. How many hits is this? I have 6 lands. I have a Mox Opal in hand, right? So Mox Opal doesn't count to turn on itself. So I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I have 17 hits to cast Cruel Bargain on turn 1. But every time that I miss, my hand does... Actually, it's going to be 21 hits. Because I can also hit an Echo of Eons. That's about a 40% chance to hit a card that turns this into a keepable or good hand. That's better than going to 5. I'm going to say that's better than going to 5. I think if I miss for 1 turn and I get 2 chances at a 40% hit, I think that's okay. Huh. Legacy League? Okay. Don't know what that means. Oh, okay. There's one of our hits. Now, we are playing against the blue deck, so, like, we might get caught with our pants down right here. Yeah, that's not good. Alright. So that's pitching an Ice Fang Coatl. Meaning that we are potentially looking at some sort of, like, Bant control list. They really... Oh, they must be, like, a Field of the Dead deck, I guess, and they're looking for a Tundra with a different name. Yeah, I need a starting mana source. I only have 6 of those. No, I have 10. I have Lotus Petals as well. 6 lands, 4 Lotus Petals. Actually, if I give up a card, I also have Chrome Mox. Okay, it's not so bad, but it certainly is not good. I assume we're gonna see a shuffle here. Opponent might, like, Prismatic Ending my Mox Opal away at some point. It's not really doing anything now, but not like their Prismatic Endings are likely to have good targets in the matchup. Okay, a second fetch. Sylvan Library? Main phase Ice Fang Coatl? Question mark? Oh. Okay. Might be a slight variation on the Swift Reclamation deck that I recently played. 3, 6, 7 cards in hand. No initial mana sources. This probably means that this deck has Karn. Not great for me. Okay. Yeah. I don't really beat that card. Like, regular TES really struggles with beating that card. So, my slightly more questionable Storm deck is probably just outright dead to it. Like, I'll see if I draw a, one of my 6 lands. Otherwise, I'm pretty much donezo. Is it better for me to discard Echo or just concede here? I think it's better for me to just concede here. Like, I don't think I beat this. And I don't think I want my opponent to know about the Echoes yet. Like, there may be some slight differences in boarding between, like, if they think I'm, like, an 8-cast style deck versus a Storm deck or something. I think just giving... I don't want to give up the information there. Now, I don't think I beat Karn decks. I just don't think that's going to happen. Like, this is a Karn Force of Will deck at that, which is going to be rough. I think I'm into this red stuff more so than anything else, but I don't exactly know how to sideboard. Like, I think pretty much every round I'm going to cut these 3 cards. So I'm going to use that as a starting point. That gives me the 3 Empty the Warren. That gives me the 3 Empty the Warrens. And then I probably want to board 6 more cards in some capacity. The plan about Grief, like, I'm really not trying to take the Karn, right? I am trying to just go, like, oops, and win. Karn's 4 mana. I'm hoping that I've won by that point. If I do something like this, this is 61. I can just like cut one Wishclaw Talisman or one Tendrils or something. One Infernal Tutor over Wishclaw? Infernal Tutor requires multiple moving parts. I don't know, like letting my opponent wish for Karn or Force of Will or something is probably not great for me. Let's try this. Okay. This goes somewhere. Vault, Mox Opal, LED. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this goes somewhere. Yeah, this probably makes goblins on turn 1. But I am soft to a Force of Will. Alright. Let's give it a go. Alright, so Storm is 2. This turns on Mox Opal. And we're essentially all in. I will cast an Infernal Tutor. Holding priority. Crack for red here. Grab empty. Cast empty. And let's see if 8 goblins is enough to goldfish my opponent. I'm expecting the answer to that question to be yes, but I guess there's worlds where they can combo off on turn 2. So, like, that's a thing. Like, if they play Mana Dork here. Okay, that's not happening. Brainstorm away. I'm really surprised my opponent kept that. Well, actually, maybe they don't know exactly what my hand looks like. Or my deck looks like, rather. Infernal Contract is cool, but I don't really have the mana to do anything with it right now, nor do I expect to. So, not really expecting my opponent to be able to get to a sweeper. Guess they can play like a Devoted Druid this turn and combo off next turn in some worlds. Lotus Petal is cool. That means I can cast an Infernal Contract this turn if I think that's a good idea. Which I think I do. Like, it's not like my opponent is going to deal, 10 points of damage to me versus 20. Like, if my opponent combos off, they're going to have an infinite-sized Walking Ballista. Yeah, that's fine. You can take 7 this turn. This is A-okay with me. And let's see if I get to cast this spell and actually resolve it. Like, it's probably worth countering. I just have entirely mana here. That's fine. I don't need to play any of this stuff out. I'll save it for Storm in case I draw a Tendrils or something like that. Your Brainstorm is fine. I'm a little curious, like, why my opponent kept their hand. They didn't have an initial counterspell. They didn't have something crazy like a Collector on turn 2 that, like, would have shut down my stuff. They didn't just combo off on turn 2 or 3. And I kind of attribute that one to a bad keep. Like, it's really hard for me to tell, though. I think I'm just going to go ahead and run things back immediately. I wanted to kind of click submit deck as quickly as possible here, mostly so that I could see if my opponent was messing around with their sideboard plans, and it seems like the answer is yes. Also, just now I bumped up my my volume a little bit, so if you notice me being ever so slightly louder, it's not your imagination. I just realized one of my settings was wrong. Okay, got a weird hand here. If I draw another mana source of some kind, I can, like, empty pretty easily for a reasonable number. If I don't draw a mana source, I go Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, Infernal Contract. That probably gets countered, and then I'm kind of stuck. That said, I still think I keep this hand, because basically any mana source makes the hand good. Which is like, so 22. Well, I can count the Dark Rituals, and I guess the Cabal Rituals even here for that, right? So more than half of my draws are going to be pretty good. This time it looks like opponent is mulliganing a little bit more aggressively. They're currently on 5. Not a swift keep on 5 either. There are also some worlds where I consider just hard discarding an Echo of Eons, depending on what I draw. But I'm not super great at producing the mana for that, so I think I'm just going to kind of go for it here. And see what happens. Okay, that's fine. Like, I guess it's better to hit that. Well, better for me for them to hit that than to just hit my Infernal Contract. And, like, get another card out of me for the same amount of value. But as long as, like, something like Collector Oof or equivalent doesn't happen here, I think I'm okay. I just hold here. Don't have a third mana or a third artifact for Metalcraft yet. I'm kind of hoping that on my opponent's double mulligan, like, they essentially just kept Force of Will and don't actually have any meaningful follow-up beyond that. Does Entomb do anything cool here? Entomb puts an Echo into the graveyard, which I guess is something that I would like to do at my opponent's end step. It's just a little awkward if this eats a Prismatic Ending, because I care about this mana source. With 8 cards in hand, I should probably just discard an Echo this turn rather than try to resolve the Entomb and risk this eating Prismatic Ending. A little awkward if one of their 2 remaining cards is specifically Endurance, but that is not the case. Okay, cool. A Simian Spirit Guide. I can go Chrome Box, imprint something, have 2 mana. That doesn't really actually get me anywhere. So I think I'm chilling. And I think I'm scared enough of Prismatic Ending type cards that I'm just gonna like discard a card rather than like play out a Mox Opal and let my opponent kill it. Like I am not far away from just casting and empty the Warrens. Or an Echo for that matter, but I'm gonna try not to Echo. Like my opponent might have a Fistful of Nothing. Alright. 4 cards in my graveyard. So I can play Chrome Mox, imprint something, Simian Spirit Guide, Cabal Ritual, go up to 3 mana, cast an Infernal Contract, and then potentially go bigger from there. I think I'm into it. Alright, so here's my Chrome Mox. I think I imprint the Entomb with an Echo already in my graveyard. Alright. Here is my Cabal Ritual. Here is my Infernal Contract. Which whiffed. I did not get another mana source to continue going here. I did not hit another 0-cost artifact, which is what I was looking for, to potentially, like, Echo or turn on Mox Opal. So that's unfortunate. Okay, no end-step endurance or anything. Okay, we're finally seeing movement from my opponent. Okay, this is just a Dryad Arbor. That's fine. I would really like to go off this turn, because, like, my opponent is now on Karn mana, which is scary to me. My Mox Opal will be turned on as of this turn. I think I'm into Chrome Mox. Probably just put an Echo under it. It matters that I produce mana, not necessarily of what colors. A lot of this is like whether or not I want to cast this Cruel Bargain this turn. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 mana, 4, 5 mana, and Cruel Bargain with 2 floating, hoping to build up a decent amount of Storm for empty. I think I'm into that. That probably means junking Infernal Tutor here. Okay. I guess this is always happening no matter what, and then the decisions get harder from here. But I can just empty right now. Not that many goblins, and I start to run into, like, Ensnaring Bridge type problems, so I think I risk it here and try to go deeper with Cruel Bargain. Anything that produces 2 mana is totally fine for me. Okay, cool. So this allows me to go ahead and Dark Ritual, and then I will go ahead and empty. And we'll see if this empty is good enough. Actually, I can cast an Entomb first to up my storm count by 1. What don't I want to draw? I don't need to put another Echo in there. I don't know, maybe I do want to put another Echo in there. Let's put another Echo in there. And I think I am much more interested in casting empty than I am casting Echo, like, despite the fact that we are very much an Echo of Eons deck. Oh no. Fluster would be very good here. Oh, sick, it's just my opponent getting a tapped land. So with that stack empty, I have 14 goblins. It's not a 1-turn clock, it's a 2-turn clock. But I don't instantly fold to Karn, which is nice. My opponent can still combo off and kill me. Oh, we have gotten the GG from the opponent. Okay, and there's the formal... Oh my gosh, what a terrible hand from my opponent. Holy shit. Okay, wow, I actively feel bad for them. Whew. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a deck building website, but it does more than just that. I've got the collection tracker pulled up today, and you can keep track of which cards you do and don't own, so that you'd never have to worry about, hey, do I actually own this card? Did I actually buy this? And if you're not scared of large numbers, you can also take a look at the total estimated value of those cards as well, and realize exactly how much those EDH decks are worth. Okay, what does my hand do? Chromox, Imprint, Vengeful Pharaoh, Dark Ritual, Entomb, Echo. If Entomb gets countered, Entomb again. Yeah, this hand is gonna be a keep. This hand is good. Alright, here's to hoping my opponent is not playing a blue deck. Things get real weird real fast if they are. Alright, goodbye Vengeful Pharaoh, which is maybe the most confusing thing that I've ever put under a Chromox. There's the Dark Ritual. Guess I don't want to show the Lion's Eye Diamond yet, because if something gets forced, I want it to be Entomb. Let's do that. Alright. I've Entombed an Echo. I will play a Lion's Eye Diamond. If I think that stuff isn't going to... I guess I can Infernal Tutor, hold priority, crack LED, get another LED, cast that LED, then cast Echo to build my Storm count up. That is probably wise. I crack this for blue in case this gets countered, though. Alright. There's LED, cast LED. I think I crack this now. I'm not 100% sure. But it feels like if my opponent had something to try and stop me, they would have done it by now. Okay. I am going to eventually cast a Grief. I don't know when I do that. Because there's worlds where I have to cast both of these Cruel Bargains. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Let's do this now. I'd rather pitch a, air quotes, bad card to Grief. Okay, cool. At this point, I think I am just golden. So 1, 2, 3, 4 very easily. Grief, pitching, Cruel Bargain. And let's see what my opponent is playing. Oh, okay, they are playing lands. They will take their Endurance. Evoke this card. Storm count is 13. And I will cast a Tendrils of Agony. That's a turn 1 win. That feels good. Okay. So, I'm kind of expecting my opponent to have, like, Sphere Resistance type cards against me. I'm not really great at answering those. So, I guess the plan is win faster. One of the issues, though, is that Empty the Warrens is bad versus, like, Tabernacle. But they may or may not keep that in the deck. Start with the same thing that I think I'm going to do every round by cutting these 3 cards. Those are going to become 3 copies of Empty the Warrens. I think I'm just going to kind of accept that that's a thing that I'm willing to do. Burnt Offering is a little fringe. I'm going to turn that into a Spirit Guide. And then I want to pull this other Spirit Guide in here somehow. Also, would my double LED line that I took have gotten punished by Endurance if my opponent had a green card? I think the answer is yes, right? Maybe don't do that next time around. I don't know what the last cut is. Like, do I just go down a piece of mana of some kind if I'm bringing in 2 Spirit Guides? Maybe I go down 1 Grief. Like, on the draw, my opponent can, like, put it into play, like, a sphere into play via, like, crop rotation for Ancient Tomb or equivalent. This hand, like, doesn't do anything. Easy mulligan. This hand has 2 mana, Entombs for 1 mana, doesn't do anything after that. This one is also a mulligan. Things start getting scary when I go to 5. Maybe not with this hand. 2 mana, cast Infernal Tutor, double crack LED, go. That's about as good as I could hope for here, I think. And we'll see if my opponent can sear me on turn 1. Next Diamond. Yeah. So we're just, like, not beating that on the draw for the most part. Like, I can pretend, but I don't think it's happening. I'll play out an LED here, I guess. But after my mulligan, this is pretty brutal. Like, the plan now has to become, like, hard cast a Grief or something like that. That Ghost Quarter is a strip mine, by the way. Yeah. And I think this is a major weakness of this deck list, right? Like, while I have some technical ability to answer a hate bear, I have 0 ability to beat a sphere of resistance. Yeah, I think at this point we go to the next game. And in case you didn't see it, opponent does have Tabernacle in the deck, making the whole Empty the Warrens plan not great. When I'm on the play, I can consider these Duress and Thoughtseize effects, but like they're just not good versus the vast majority of my opponent's deck. So I think I'm supposed to try and just go fast and go off on my turn 1, rather than actually try to answer the sphere. Go off on turn 1? Without counting it, seems like it goes off on turn 1. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. That is Entomb for Echo and continue to go. I'm going to keep this. There's a couple ways I can actually play it out, though. Like, I can risk the Infernal Contract and just, like, take a draw 4, assuming that I find more mana. So always this. Always this. Always this. Always this. Then it gets harder. Infernal Contract goes +2 mana. I can still Entomb Echo. Maybe that's just worse than guaranteed draw 7, though. Yeah, let's do that. Tomb for an Echo. Tap this for blue. Cast the Echo. Okay. New Mox Opal. Keeping this one. It's 4 total mana to just Entomb Echo again. I can put Chrome Mox under, Simian Spirit Guide under, and be good. That's probably better than risking the Infernal Contract. One of these gets Infernal. One of these gets a Simian Spirit Guide. My mana's getting a little awkward in terms of colors under these things. But that... No, I guess it's fine. Alright. So there's an Entomb. Here's Echo number 2. I guess I just use all of this. I've got nothing floating here. So, Mox Opal, put an Entomb under it. Dark Ritual is 3 mana. I have to Cruel Bargain if I want to keep going. This is not the best, because I am going to require another starting mana source, and... okay. Alright. Well, we're not stopping now, right? Yeah, I'm 1 colored mana short of doing cool things, and Wishclaw gets me nothing that does quite what I want. Okay, and we're live still, somehow. So, this is another Entomb for Echo. Rack for blue. Cast Echo. Okay, there's Tendrils and the mana to cast it. Alright. Pretty decent storm count here. Let's Chrome Mox the Cabal Ritual in case that's relevant for the future. 1, 2, 3, 4 black mana. Storm count of 22 on turn 1. GG. Okay, that was cool. That was cool. Alright, round 3, we're 2-0. Makes goblins. Chrome Mox, Imprint, Shriekmaw, Lotus Petal, LED, Dark Ritual, goblins? And I get to, like, try and use Lion's Eye Diamond as a bait spell, too. That's pretty cool. So let's cast this LED first as my bait spell. Ooh, that resolved. That's good news for me. Chrome Mox, Imprint, Shriekmaw, as one does. And we'll do the Lotus Petal, the Dark Ritual, and oops, all goblins. Like, I could try to go deeper here with Infernal Contract, but I think I'm just going to take the guaranteed thing here. Like, this is a storm count of 5. I have 10 goblins. I have produced a 2-turn clock on turn 1. Like, that is going to beat most fair decks and probably races most combo decks as well. Yeah, I believe Delver is soft to this unless they have a main deck. 1 red mana, 1 damage to everything card, and the festivities, I believe. Good, I'm very happy to get game 1. Yeah, I don't even think they should have showed me that they were Delver. I think they were playing on 0 outs. They've got outs post sideboard. I probably do this red stuff. Yeah, I probably do this red stuff. I think rather than, like, 2-for-1ing myself with grief, I just want to be casting these cards. Here into the Abyss is going out. These cards are a little more justifiable here. So, starting with the empties and the mana, that puts me here. My Cruel Bargains and Infernal Contracts are definitely scary. My Echoes are also scary because they just, like, bring my opponent into more counter magic, and they have so much of it. Can I take out my Echoes? Like, is that something that I can actually do? Like, go -3 Echo, keep 1, play the Galvanic Relay, get rid of the Burnt Offering, and attempt to be something closer to an actual factual Storm deck. The Entombs are still good for Vengeful Pharaoh and still can get me an Echo. I'm just less likely to draw an Echo in hand. Not sure on Duress. Maybe Duress is better than some of this stuff. Legitimately unsure. Let's try submitting this as is. So this is a hand that can attempt to cast an Echo of Eons on turn 1. But if that fails, I am just 100% dead in the water with no mana sources. I don't think I'm into that, because it's like Daze, Force of Will, Force of Negation, and any sort of Flusterstorm, Spell Pierce, even Red Elemental Blast type cards that my opponent might have. I think I'd rather have something that has a little bit more persistent mana. I'm going to mulligan that. I'm going to keep this Swan. Probably throwing back Infernal Contract. Just go, like, Dark Ritual into empty some portion of the time. Keep the Tendrils as reach for later. I don't particularly think this hand is great either, but better than the first one, I think. Infernal Tutor. I think I chill. I think I try to wait until my storm count can be a little bit higher. Like, just Dark Ritual into empty is just 4 goblins, and, like, 4 goblins probably just loses to a bunch of, like, random lightning bolts and blockers. I don't think I play my land this turn, though. I don't want to get wastelanded. See what my opponent can do. Probably means they have a fistful of interaction, which is not great for me. Now I think I am happy enough attempting to play some cards. I think this Dark Ritual gets answered a decent portion of the time. I have 5 total mana, so I guess I can Entomb as a bluff here. And just increase my storm count by 1. Actually, this isn't really a bluff, right? Like, this has to get answered. Oh, it doesn't have to get answered. Okay. Well, Echo can stay there as my backup, and now I'll just cast Empty the Warrens. Alright, pitch the Spirit Guide to do that. Don't fluster me. Oh, no. Okay, it's not fluster. Okay, you can Blue Elemental Blast one of those. Okay, there's Daze on another. Do I get 4 goblins? I get 4 goblins, which is something that I originally thought was not enough, so I'm not, like, stoked about that. But if they're answering my goblin tokens like that, that means that they don't have End the Festivities in hand, which is nice. Unfortunately, this can just be like a Murktide Regent here, and that card's dumb. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. So this is, like, these goblin tokens are now basically irrelevant. My Infernal Tutor isn't good while this Tendrils is in my hand. Well, my opponent doesn't know that. I probably don't cast it here. Something just fell upstairs, and it sounded like it hurt. I officially become scared when my opponent turns Murktide Regent sideways. Like, that would be the sign of strength here. Fuck. Alright, I am down to 15. A Galvanic Relay is cool. Let's turn off auto yields here. Let's attack with my goblins. Puts my opponent to 13. I think I am going to go ahead and cast an Infernal Tutor here and see if it's good enough to get countered. Okay, good. That's kind of what I wanted. Alright, so we do have this Echo chilling in my graveyard. The awkward thing is that, like, Murktide Regent is a card that's currently in play. So, like, the wording of this is when it leaves your graveyard. And, things definitely will leave my opponent's graveyard with this, which may shorten my clock by a turn. So I'm down to 10. I can die next turn in some worlds. Okay. So I'll hit for my 4. Opponent goes to 9. Alright, didn't get an end step and no end step Brazen Borrower or anything. I can still die to like double Lightning Bolt here. Yeah, is very good. Ponder, sure. I draw a Dark Ritual. I'm 1 point short of killing my opponent via Tendrils. I would have 4-8. No, they didn't shuffle. That means they've got more interaction. So I kind of expect that I can't win from here. So it goes. Ooh. Yeah, that doesn't help either. We only have 6 lands. Gotta be, yeah, it had to be LED there. Okay. I will concede. And I get to try again. When I'm on the play, like, the duress effects become slightly more attractive. Yeah, and I kind of think I'm about casting these spells. I don't know. Like, maybe on the draw, I just get rid of these. Or sorry, maybe on the play, I get rid of these for a couple pieces of poke my opponent's hand. Although that makes the Entomb significantly worse. I obviously don't have reps with, you know, the brew to know how I should sideboard here. Alright, Dark Slick Shores, Lotus Petal, Simian Spirit Guide is 3 mana with an LED. On a 4th mana, I make a decent number of goblins. But, like, with 3 4-drops in hand, I kind of have a lot of nothing. I think I just ship this one and try to go faster. Okay, how do I play this? I could go Chrome Mox, Pitching Entomb, Lotus Petal, Mox Opal, Cabal Ritual, Galvanic Relay. Or I could try to Entomb for Echo. I think the Galvanic Relay line is better. Alright, Chrome Mox. Really, do I cast the Cabal Ritual? Cabal Ritual gives my opponent a really good chance to stop me that the Galvanic Relay doesn't. Maybe I just keep the Entomb in my hand for next turn. Yeah, let's do that. There's Lotus Petal. There's Mox Opal. Then I'll just relay here. This is 1 less Storm, but doesn't give my opponent a really good chance to counter something. Which I'm hoping matters. That was not the best. Like, was kind of looking for artifact mana there. And I did not hit it. I can get ruined by Meltdown here. Okay. It's, air quotes, just Dragon Rage Channeler. Okay. So I play Vault of Whispers to turn on Metalcraft. That always happens. And now I'm just 1 mana short. And I can't Entomb for an Echo because I have 1 of them currently, so this Entomb is just bad. So much for the Galvanic Relay line. So I guess I throw out the Entomb, hoping that it gets countered. Which is sketch considering, like, these other things exist. Let's just put something that I don't want to draw in there. Like a Chrome Mox. Then cast an Infernal Tutor. I think just gets countered in some capacity, and that like leaves these things stranded in exile in a way that I can't use. Yeah. Unfortunate. Like, I was 1 mana away from emptying. Like, the Echo going... Shit. The Echo specifically going into exile there, like my 1 of Echo, was super bad for me. I kind of expect that I'm dead from here. Like, it's Delver with the selection of Dragon Rage Channeler in play when I'm Hellbent. Like, I don't expect to come back from this. Or generally, I don't really expect to beat Delver with this deck. Like, they're just so interactive, and I'm so reliant on resolving specific spells. I mean, this is cool and all, but kind of leans me further into just getting junked by Meltdown. Okay. Pitching a Murktide Regent, so that's a good news, bad news situation, I guess. My opponent puts something on top. As soon as they cast, or let's see, so they have land, sorcery, instant in there. I'll take 1. The clock's not bad right now. But I am absolutely just running on empty. And that's a bad top deck. I'm playing 1 Echo. Admittedly, like, maybe my fault in sideboarding wrong, but I kind of conceptually liked the plan that I had, and I just kind of got hosed by the one of Echo being where it was. I don't think the Echo is super good in the matchup because it just does give my opponent more looks at counterspells, and they have so much interaction, a lot of which is free. So I don't think I regret my plan, I'm just getting punished for it. I think those are different things here. But again, like, this is my 3rd match with this deck, so I can't really draw super conclusive conclusions. Probably a better way to say that. I think I hold the Entomb in my hand for potentially imprinting under a Chromox rather than just thinning my deck of 1 card, which really doesn't matter much. Like, it also can contribute to Storm Count for a Tendrils or something. I think as soon as my... oh, fuck me. Anyway, I think as soon as my opponent gets another threat in play, I'm in trouble. I don't think I beat this either. And I'm currently in the situation where I have mana, but nothing really to do with it. I'll just sit here and get punched in the face for 1 forever. It's fine. All right, I'm on 15. That's a cruel bargain. I think I just wait. I think I want to cast an end of turn Entomb to see what's on top with my opponent's counterbalance. If they will even counter that, they might not, because I didn't put an Echo in there last time. I don't know, if I'm only getting hit for 1, I probably just, like, have the patience. I don't know, every card my opponent draws is just horrifying, though. Let's see if they'll flip their counterbalance. No covered island, so 0 costs are no good currently. Alright, I do not want to draw another Entomb, I suppose. Empty the Warrens is good. So let's see what happens with this whole counterbalance thing. Okay, opponent is responding. Yeah. Putting a Brainstorm on top. If I respond with Cabal Ritual, so that I can play Cruel Bargain. Yes. That now becomes my plan. This is a random card on top. It was a daze, folks. It was a daze. Distance is pain. And my opponent doesn't even have the courtesy to just fucking kill me. They just attack me for 1. This stupid human shaman. Please. Just play a Murktide Regent so I can concede. Roll Bargain as bait. And then try to make a larger Empty the Warrens next turn. There's a Daze on top. I don't get fun things. I don't get fun things. Oh, they banned the Daze. Oh, is Daze an above average card there? Unsure. A Cantrip is probably better than a Daze by a lot. A Murktide Regent is better than a Daze by a lot. Yeah, maybe it's fine. Okay. 4 Goblins? 4 Goblins doesn't feel good enough. Yeah, this is pretty miserable. Especially since, like, I think it's very likely that my opponent has counterspells since they're not, like, spinning the wheels and fueling Dragon Rage Channeler as quickly as possible. Okay, well, 6 Goblins is closer to respectable. Let's try 6 Goblins. Steam Vents on top means that I can't Lotus Petal this turn? God, they're just... fuck, okay. I'm done. Like, Brainstorm with Counterbalance with 2 counterspells remaining. That's fine. We can stop. All right. This just plays LED Echo on turn 1 and hopes that it works. I guess it's a keep. Like, assuming my opponent isn't a Force of Will deck, I essentially go up 1 card in my starting hand. Right? Like, I will have a Mox Opal in play with a fresh 7. YOLO, no fear, you know. Here we go. Echo. Okay. Vault of Whispers. Lotus Petal. LED. LED. Storm count is 6. Will be 7. How much total mana do I have? 1, 2, 3, 6, 9. So go down to 7 when I cast Infernal Tutor, which means that I can't do multiple Infernal Tutor chains, right? So I go down to 7, and then go down to 5 in pool, and then cast my big thing. Okay, so I can do some Infernal Tutor chains. So it's 6, Infernal Tutor would be 7, Infernal Tutor would be 8, Final Thing would be 9. Just a ton of goblins, assuming that things work. I could also just Echo again. Do not pass the turn. Is that better? A shit ton of goblins is probably fine. Make black. Black. Infernal Tutor. Or Infernal Tutor. Cast Infernal Tutor. So I will have cast 8 spells. Which means that if I just get tendrils, I'm too short. So there's empty with 8 copies. It is a 2-turn clock. And my opponent has a completely random hand. Okay, we have no idea what my opponent is playing. Alright, I have no idea what my opponent is playing. So I think I'm going to do the thing that I usually do of cutting these 3 cards that I think are bad to bring in Empty the Warrens. And I think I'll also bring in some Simeon Spirit Guides over like a Burnt Offering and I don't know, a Grief maybe? Seems reasonable. I like not knowing what I'm playing against something like this seems fine. Like, the plan is go fast. I did an MTG Goldfish on my opponent, and they don't have any results in the last year, so don't really have anything to go on. They've played some assorted mid-rangey decks. Some had blue, some didn't have blue, so... Well, I mean, we've got a turn 1 Echo hand again, and this one has protection in the form of Grief, so I'll be keeping this. Here's to hoping no Leyline. No Leyline, nice. Yeah, we are playing against a blue deck, but I do get to Grief. Oh. That actually doesn't matter, right? Yeah, that shouldn't actually matter. I probably Grief pitching Cabal Ritual here. Do a quick check-in, see what my opponent's got over there. Alright, cool. Woohoo! Shit. Well, let's try to go off on turn 1, I guess. I'm more scared of Collector Oof than Thalia, although both definitely suck. Alright. Grief goes to my graveyard. I play Mox Opal. I play LED. I will exile a card from my graveyard, that's fine. I unfortunately cannot tap Mox Opal for mana yet. Guard my hand for the blue. Cast my Echo. Alright. Vault. Petal. Petal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Potentially 6 mana. My opponent can have counterspells here, like they just played an island. They have a lot of hate bears, though. That's the interaction that I'm going to be expecting. Counter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wishclaw for Goblins is 7. That does not work. So I think I'm into casting Infernal Contract and seeing where that goes. Yeah, I think I'm into that. Costs me 1 Lotus Petal. There's an empty. Can I get to that mana amount? I have played a land. I have 1, 2. I have 3 total mana. I can Infernal Contract again. If I had 4 mana, I could Echo again. If I had 4 mana, I could empty. I'm so close. I could wait to go off until next turn, but I think I'd rather just keep going. And just, like, believe in the deck. Put Entomb under there. Put Mox Opal under there. Keep this one. Cast Infernal Contract. That's multiple LEDs and an Entomb? Oh no. Wishclaw Talisman being an artifact means that I can't actually go off here, right? Because I don't have the starting black mana. Because this is Imprint, a non-artifact, non-land card. Wow. That's unfortunate. In case Thalia tax happens, I'm going to play at least those cards out. I'm not sure about this Chrome Mox. Damn. I don't think I imprint the Chrome Mox. There's enough different ways that my hand could go next turn that I think I just accept this. Alright, how bad is it? Worst possible? That's presumably a one of. Now I just have no mana sources whatsoever. Yeah, so I lost this one to Wishclaw here. Man, I was one off in so many different directions there. I don't think I beat that Collector Oof. I don't think I'm gonna try. My opponent's got Hate Bears. Is the empty plan still the way that I want to go? I think so. Thoughtseize and Grief type cards become slightly more attractive now that I know that I'm playing more likely against Hate Bears than Counterspells. Although I am just trying to win or effectively win on turn 1, so maybe that's kind of whatever. I don't know that I actually want to play Shriekmaw. Like, in order to cast a Shriekmaw, I need to have both copies of Darkslick Shores. Well, specifically to beat, like, Collector Oof. There's, like, Thalia, too, but I don't know. I think I'm just going to try to win on turn 1. This casts an Infernal Contract on turn 1 while also casting Grief on my opponent. I don't think the hand's super impressive, but I think it's good enough to keep. I think I Grief pitching Tendrils here before making another play. Alright, Grief, pitch Tendrils, and kind of hope that my opponent kept a hand around one critical card. Well, shit. That's a really good hand. Like, that's 4 relevant cards. I guess I take the Force of Vigor and just hope that I kill them on turn 1 off Infernal Contract. But if I don't kill them on turn 1, Deafening Silence basically beats me. But if I leave them with Force of Vigor, they can exile this Chrome Mox in response to me imprinting it, and I have nothing, and I just lose. I think I have to take the Force of Vigor and get lucky after that. Alright. Chrome Mox, imprint, Infernal Tutor, Dark Ritual, Infernal Contract. I mean, that was not what I was looking for. I think this game's over. I don't think I can beat just Deafening Silence into Outland Liberator. It means that I can't ever just hardcast this stuff, because, like, my lands that I can draw are also destroyable. Yeah, I don't think I beat Deafening Silence into this thing, right? Guess I can try, but don't really see it happening. Drawing Empty into 2 more copies of Empty was super awkward. I don't know, maybe I should have just, like, mulliganed more aggressively than what I did. I wasn't expecting my opponent to have 4 pieces of early interaction like they did. You know what, at this point I can just dismiss this. Like, I know it's there. And, like, I think if this flips, I'm just done. That probably means going and casting a spell. I'll put an Echo in there. I'm about to lose this Chrome Mox to Prismatic Ending. And then I think my opponent just, like, maybe passes the turn, so this flips, and then I can't ever flip it back. Yeah. You know, let's scoop this one up. We're not beating this deck. GG's. Alright, what does this hand do? It has 2 mana on turn 1. This is, I think, the first time we've actually drawn the Burnt Offering. It has 2 mana on turn 1. I can Entomb for something, and then attempt turn 2 Echo. I think when I'm on the play, I'd rather just do something that tries to go off on turn 1. And I've got 2, kind of 3 dead cards in hand. I think I just mulligan. This is all mana, no payoff. I'll be going to 5 here. Lotus Petal, Lotus Petal, Lotus Petal. Cast Cabal Ritual. 4 total mana. Entomb Echo. Okay. I'll just check my math again. 1, 2, up to 3, up to 4, down to 3, Echo. Yeah. Glass Cannon hand. Yes, Petal, Petal, Petal. I need to cast the Cabal Ritual first, because this needs to be blue. Cabal Rit. Well, shit. I mean, we kept an all-in hand, and we're punished. I don't think I cast the Entomb. I think this Lotus Petal is too important. Pitched a Snapcaster Mage. I will cast the Entomb at the end of my opponent's turn, but I don't think the Echo is particularly strong here. Like, there's just too much of a chance of it going wrong for me and feeding my opponent into more relevant cards. Okay, my opponent doesn't have a counterspell right now, so if I top deck a mana source, I should be good. So there's my LED. Crack for blue. Cast Echo. This should be resolving. Okay. Cool. Let's play some Magic the Gathering cards and see what happens. At 4 total mana, I have Entomb for another Echo. I don't know that I want to do that immediately. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in some lines. Let's cast the Cruel Bargain here. The Infernal Tutor can be made better later. Okay, there's a response. Oh shit, it resolved. Not into particularly good cards, but we might be able to make something work here. Chromox, pitching Shriekmaw. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. So I can attempt an Entomb line here. I'll do another Chromox. I think I get rid of an Entomb. Cast an Entomb. Get another Echo down in there. Recast Echo. Oh shit, I whiffed as far as storm count is concerned. I only have 1 starting mana here. I think I want to grief my opponent next turn for storm-based reasons. Really awkward if they play like a Narset, though. Okay, I can't take that risk. Grief pitching Vengeful Pharaoh. Alright. What are we looking at? A Brainstorm, probably. Yep. Okay, there's the Brainstorm. So they get to hide whatever awful thing they can do to me. And I'll take the scraps. Okay, we're playing against a Minsk and Boo deck. I don't really want my opponent to be able to, like, Teferi me, like, Teferi bounce my artifact mana, and be able to play sorceries at instant speed after I wheel them. Let's take the Teferi out of that. But their hand is, like, super redundant with Triple Ponder. And that Minsk and Boo is going to kill me very quickly. Like, let's be clear about that. This card is insane. Oh, speaking of things that will kill me very quickly. So we're going. I think I just start with a Cruel Bargain rather than a Cabal Ritual first. Not 100% sure there. Okay. I play a Mox Opal. I play a Lotus Petal. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I peer into the abyss myself. Okay. Chrome Mox. I can pitch an Infernal Contract. I'm about to draw like my entire deck here. 2 mana Cabal Ritual. 2 mana Cabal Ritual. New Mox Opal. Keep this Mox Opal. Peer into the abyss. Target myself. This is the first time in the league that we've actually cast this card. Alright. Cool. And now winning is very, very easy. Just have to resolve the tendrils that is already in my hand. We have access to just so much mana. Can cast another Mox Opal for lols. Alright. We want to flex? I think we want to flex a little bit. Let's cast a Grief. Grief my opponent. We're going to take that Minsk and Boo. And you know what? We're going to cast a Burnt Offering, sacrificing a creature. Get a bunch of mana. Cast a Tendrils. Target my opponent. Get him dead. Okay. Very happy to have won that game there. That was an insane peer into the abyss. I don't know that that redeems the card, but that's the sort of situation that the card is good in. Also, I'm going to be real with you. I probably should have been sideboarding this card out more, but I think it was just like off my screen the entire time, so I wasn't really thinking about sideboarding out that card as much as I should have. Alright, I think Burnt Offering goes out. I think Shriekmaw, Vengeful Pharaoh go out. Unsure how I feel about Grief. pile. Oh, these cards are coming in. I need to cut more cards. Like, do I really need to 2-for-1 myself with Grief? Like, Grief is the, like, peek and see if I can go off card. I just feel like I got kind of lucky with the wheels. Get rid of the Pier. I'm boarding in a lot of red cards and boarding out a decent amount of black cards, which does make it harder to pitch stuff to the Grief. Like, my whole plan is just, like, cast and empty the Warrens. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have enough reps with this deck to know how I'm actually supposed to sideboard. Opponent's gonna kill me fast with things like Minsk and Boo. Maybe Galvanic Relay is a little worse for that reason. I don't know. Let's go Grief out, and maybe if I'm bringing in double Spirit Guide for red, I board out one of something else. I could also just, like, board out an Entomb or an Echo or something. Or maybe one Tendrils? I don't know. If I have to imprint a Tendrils and then I don't have access to a second one, it gets weird. Maybe I can board out one Tutor. Board out one Wishclaw Talisman or something. Part of the problem here is that I don't know the exact range of the sideboard cards that my opponent might be playing. How is this hand? It has decent mana, but it doesn't exactly do any... Well, no, it doesn't exactly do anything. I think I just mulligan it. Dark Ritual, 5 mana. It's all black, though. Dark Ritual, Infernal Tutor, find Dark Ritual. And Dark Ritual, Infernal Tutor, Tendrils. Hand doesn't quite get there, but with a red mana, I think this hand becomes decent. Rather than mulliganing to Oblivion, do I want to keep an awkward hand that could go somewhere? I don't have Metalcraft, right? No, I would need multiple artifacts. So for red mana, I have 4. Oh, I don't actually have that many, like, raw sources of red mana without Metalcraft. I'm gonna mulligan again. Ox Opal, Darkslick Shores. I have 1, 2. I have 3 mana showing here. I'm probably going to keep this hand in some capacity. I think planning to empty the Warrens as the big thing that I do. I think means getting rid of those and, like, potentially playing an Infernal Contract out as kind of my bait spell. Empty the Warrens kind of feels like the truth to me here for, like, this matchup. Oh, it is another copy of the truth. I will play out Darkslick Shores into a potential wasteland and be okay with it. I think I've just got to make the land drop, because if I do end up involving Infernal Contract, I want to be able to play a follow-up land. I got 6 of them, though, so, you know. That is an LED. Won't have Metalcraft yet. I don't actually have my 3rd black mana specifically. I'll just pass the turn, see what my opponent can do. Like, the empty is probably pretty good in a lot of worlds. Just, like, scary stuff like Mentor and Narset can start coming down this turn, yeah. Which is the problem. Okay, I did not want 3 copies of empty. That is entirely too much empty. I think I'm just in trouble here. Yeah. I'm going to die in, like, 2 attack steps. This is gross. So my opponent makes their hamster. They turn it into a 4/4. They attack for 7 this turn, bringing me to 13. Next turn they have 7, 8, 9, 10 showing already. So I have to attempt to go off this turn, or I'm basically dead to anything. So here we go. Yeah. Have to Entomb here. Grab an Echo. Exile a Spirit Guide. And, like, I am all in on this spell, which is not where I want to be versus the blue deck that presumably kept a hand with a counterspell. Yeah. And this is why Minsk and Boo is just scary, right? Like, attack for 4, attack for 7. And, like, once you have anything else on top of that, it's just horrifying. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then any spell kills me. Hey, it's a spell. I am dead. Alright, so I will attempt to go again. I don't know, maybe my opponent's threats are scary enough that I have to play some amount of discard. Maybe multi-stepping with Galvanic Relay is not where I want to be. Like, it's in theory what I want to do versus a blue deck, but, like, my opponent's clock is so fast that I can't give them that turn a lot of the time. Play some discard. Do I want it to be, like, Duress or Grief? How do I want to do that? Grief requires me to pitch cards. Duress requires me to use mana. Thoughtseize uses my life total, which is a little scary versus like Minsk and Boo, but also can take a mentor that some of these other things can't take. Let's go Duresses. Like maybe 2 Duress, 2 Grief, kind of split the difference between the two. IDK. I also feel like I could cut an Infernal Tutor or another piece of discard. Like, because I'm looking to just, like, empty kill most of the time. And the Infernal Tutor is not the best without LED anyway. Okay, cutting 2 tutors when boarding in 4 empties, that's probably okay. Obviously not a master of sideboarding with these Storm decks. They don't have the right colors of mana. So, Dark Ritual, 3 mana. Cabal Ritual, 4 mana. This hand doesn't actually go anywhere. With an LED or a red mana source, it's fine, but I think I just ship this. And doesn't quite work. It's 3 mana, 4 mana, down to 3 mana in Tomb. Then I don't have the correct color of mana. I could just multi-turn this and Entomb on turn 1, and then hope to draw the correct mana. I don't know, this doesn't really feel like a winner. Like, this feels clunky. I think I'm gonna ship it. This hand probably doesn't win the game. Am I fine with it anyway? I can pitch these 2 cards, just cast a Duress on turn 1, cast a turn 2 Grief, and leave in the top of the deck to go somewhere. That's maybe better than going to 4. But I honestly don't feel very good about it. I will be taking the Force of Will. That's the thing that I care about the most here. But my opponent's hand is just incredibly consistent. Like, it doesn't have the things that it needs in it now, but, like, the 4 spells that are in my opponent's hand are all redraws. And I've also mulliganed enough that, like, an empty isn't exactly insane for me. I chose not to shuffle. Does that mean they have a counterspell? I think casting Cruel Bargain is better than just casting Grief and trying to actually kill my opponent with that. I'm going to hope that they don't actually have a counterspell right now. And cast the Cruel Bargain. Okay. They did find one. It's not overly surprising, but, like, my alternative is cast the Dark Ritual into the Grief to take 1 random card from their hand, and then, like, hope to top deck mana for next turn to cast the Cruel Bargain, which I would not have done. Sure, that's fine. I'm going to fall behind just very quickly here, and, like, I already know that my opponent has, like, Minsk and Boo and Monastery Mentor that will be an incredibly swift clock. Oh, sure. That's fine. Yeah. So I basically need to draw rituals and play, like, Grief into Grief to have any chance at beating my opponent. And their cantrips will probably lead them to things that can just beat, like, a 3-2 with Menace. Or they hit a land drop with EI. Oh no, there's something else. Are they just pondering? Okay. Sure. So their hand's unknown now, but it probably just beats me. I mean, I'll play that card, but it sure does not cast Grief. Alright, there's the Mentor, which I think is basically curtains for me. Like, my opponent still has 4 cards in hand, even if some number of those are counterspells. Like, they will rattle through a couple of spells and build a board that I can't beat. And I'm overall fine with that. Yeah, like, this is just going to snowball very quickly. Alright, so they get a bonus land. Like, in good news, I'm only getting hit for 3. In bad news, like, I don't think I come back from here. Like, if my opponent has 5 cards that aren't 1-drop cantrips, like, it's probably bad news for me. I guess I can attempt to Echo, but, like, my Echoes aren't very good when, like, these plus rituals are, like, my only mana sources. I'm gonna take the 3, cast an Entomb at end step, try to put an Echo in there. Oh. Okay. So opponent might not have counterspells, but I don't have 3 mana. So that doesn't matter. My opponent doesn't have counterspells, like, what do they actually have? Like, are they just on infinite lands? Okay. Mystic Sanctuary. Getting another EI is sick value. So this damage is going to accelerate extremely quickly. I'm probably not dead this turn, but I'm probably Dead next turn. Alright, it's just another land drop, but, like, they've looked at a lot of cards. I don't know exactly what's going on over there, but it is certainly not good for me. I am at 9. There's an Echo. Can't really do anything with that. I'm not on a 3rd mana. I don't think I grief my opponent here. Like, there's worlds where it helps me stay alive, but I think I need to just... I wonder if they could have just, like, tried to kill me last turn. Only 2 attackers. Maybe not. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Any spell is lethal. Alright. What do you have to fetch to do? The fairy. Okay. I will concede here. GG's. So we end up with a 2-3 in this league. Overall thoughts on the deck list. I basically felt like I was playing worse, like, TES, for most of this league. Like, when our opponent doesn't have instant speed interaction like Force of Will and Force of Negation and such, like, the deck seems super cool because you just get to do your thing without your opponent interacting, and you do it very quickly. But once interaction is taken into effect, I just don't feel like the deck is strong, and I feel like the deck plays a bunch of duds. Like, Burnt Offering almost never is going to work. Vengeful Pharaoh is, like, cute, but probably not worth a slot, and I feel the same way about Shriekmaw. Like, these are cards that answer things, but I don't think we're trying to answer things. I think we're trying to just hope that we go faster than our opponent so that we don't have to answer things. And I think an inconsistent card like Burnt Offering and then, like, these 2 situational cards are just, like, not good enough when that is the plan. I kind of feel like the deck doesn't have enough red mana to support, like, the 4x empty, 4x Galvanic Relay, especially once hate cards get involved. Because, like, Chrome Mox is not really imprinting for red most of the time. That requires you to have multiple red cards, which isn't super, super likely. It can happen. But there were definitely multiple times where, like, I had empty and the correct amount of mana to cast it, but not the correct colors. So, like, maybe more lands and a fetch land mana base or something makes it so that the red becomes more reasonable, although the individual points of, like, life total matter once, like, Cruel Bargain and Thoughtseize get involved. And I don't know that I actually like Ray of Revelation a whole lot, because, like, one of the biggest enchantments that you're looking to get rid of is going to be Leyline of the Void, and so you can't actually, like, entomb for Ray of Revelation to beat that card. Like, admittedly, we saw his Stony Silence, but I don't know that you randomly board in Ray of Revelation hoping that your opponent has Stony Silence when, like, they just as easily could have Null Rod that this card misses. And I also dislike the fact that we're just dead to sphere effects. Like, there's literal 0 answers in the 75 to a sphere. So this one gets a thumbs down from me. Like, the speed is here. I don't think the consistency is. Now, I will say this with the caveat that, like, I obviously do not know how to sideboard properly with this deck list. Like, these are the first 5 games that I've played with this deck list, so, like, there's probably, like, more optimal strategies than what I did that, like, maybe could have turned this 2-3 into a 3-2 or something like that. But I felt a little bit like I was fighting an uphill battle this league. So I will say this was hella fun. Like, I want to make that clear. Like, I enjoyed playing this league a lot. Like, we made 22 Storm on turn 1. Like, that's super, super dope. So, like, there's something here, but I don't feel like the polish is quite there yet, and I think it still needs a little bit more iterating. Anyway, Sean, I hope that was hopeful feedback for you, and for the rest of you, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. If you have a deck that you want to get on the channel or you want to mess around with that, all that information is available in the video description. I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!